What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talking Sports with Manny. I'm excited, man. Got my new logo. Working on an intro, so this is just something small, just to kind of get started. But man, I'm excited for what's coming up. Got some merchandise coming out, so you guys be on the lookout for that. I appreciate everybody who supports the channel, not only the channel but the podcast as well. So there'll be more content coming out, Laker stuff, Washington football stuff, fantasy football, fantasy basketball, multiple guests coming on. So kind of wanted to talk about the Super Bowl. I know it's been a while since I've been on with you guys, but yeah, Super Bowl, man. Congrats to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those guys look magnificent in this Super Bowl. One thing I can say about the Bucs is they already had a good team. You know, you had Mike Evans, you had Godwin, with a team that played with Jameis Winston. You upgrade that and you bring in the GOAT, Tom Brady. He comes in, you have an up and coming defense, right? My boy Tommy was like, man, who were the corners for the Bucs? At the time, I couldn't think of the name, but I knew that they were like, second year, third year guys, up and coming guys, and Carlton Davis and I think another guy. His name escapes me right now, but they're up and coming defense. You got Antoine Winfield in the backfield, safety, played very, very well. He was I would say, a top five rookie defender this year. But kind of wanted to talk about Mike Evans, man. I'm going to share some stats. Mike Evans, he's a very unselfish player. He's a guy who pretty much is willing to do whatever it takes in order for his team to continue to win. Mike Evans have come out on a record and he said that, hey, he is willing to give up some of his money to make sure that some of the guys that are free agents sign. I don't think the Bucs are going to be able to keep everybody. It's just impossible. It's impossible to keep everybody. So they're going to lose a lot of pieces. They're definitely going to lose a lot of pieces. But for example, Antonio Brown, he's another guy. So the Bucs had their core key guys, right? Then you bring in guys like Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, as well as Gronkowski. What do? They all end up scoring touchdowns. So everybody that was brought in ended up having a big impact in the big game. That's pretty much what you got to do. You got to learn how to upgrade your team. You got to learn how to continue to add to what you already have going on. So, like I said, shout out to the Bucs. But let's talk about Mike Evans, man. I'm going to pull up some stats. Mike Evans has been magnificent this year when it comes to receiving the ball and things that he does. So I pulled up some stats. So you got Mike Evans, and he has had 7 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. 7 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. Rookie season, 68 68 receptions for 1,000 plus. Second year, 1,200. Third year, 1,300, 1,000, 1,500, 1,100, and 1,000. And you might say they were padding stats, and you can pull up all kinds of things that you want to say about Mike Evans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the fact remains the same. Here comes a new quarterback that Mike Evans has never played with before. You've heard about rumors about quarterbacks being able to play with Tom Brady, being able to run into your routes, run into, coverages and all that and things of that nature. But when you have a guy like Mike Evans comes in first year, I mean, he had a few injuries here and there, but for the most part, with Tom Brady, Mike Evans' red zone percentage went up. He had 13 touchdowns. Okay. Now he didn't have a lot of long receptions and things of that nature because of course he's sharing with Godwin and Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, and all the magnificent pass catchers that Tom Brady has. But what I want to say is Mike Evans, man, he's a special wide receiver. He's not quite on Julio Jones type level because of the production that Julio Jones has produced. But the argument for Mike Evans is that, hey, he has 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Julio Jones can't say that. I mean, 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Julio Jones can't say that. So when you look at Mike Evans, man, he's a magnificent talent, man. I did not think that Mike Evans was going to crack 1,000 yards this year, but he did. Guy is amazing. And for my football team, this is what I want. I want a special type wide receiver. Who doesn't want a special type wide receiver on the team? And then not only that, he's the most unselfish wide receiver there is in the game. I mean, you see what it did. He let go of a lot of targets, and he's still able to get 1,000 yards. So when you do things the right way, you always it almost takes care of itself. It almost takes care of itself. So shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to my guy Mike Evans. He's a beast. Leonard Fournette. We'll see what happens. Ronald Jones had a great season this year. Super Bowl was not an exciting game at all. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't enjoy it. I actually picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. They were terrible. They were terrible. I think Patrick Mahomes was pressured 29 times, and that was a record for a quarterback being pressured. I've always talked about that Tampa Bay Buccaneers having a very good defensive line, a very good defense, period. You look at Dominic Sue. You look at you also look at Vita Vea, who came back and was available and able to play in that Super Bowl. Vita Vea is a massive, massive human being who's able to stuff the run, and he's an underrated pass rusher. So that right there was a testament of his own. Then you have the linebackers. Levante David, who becomes a free agent this year. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. Make no mistakes about it. He's one of the best linebackers in the game. And then Devin White, who was second on the team in sacks with 9 sacks for a middle linebacker. That's amazing. That's amazing. He had over 140 tackles, and he's able to, get to the quarterback still. That's a special linebacker. Real talk, Devin White should have won MVP. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. Devin White is a phenomenal talent and one of the best linebackers in the league already. So sometimes teams have to spend that draft capital, use that first round pick to get a guy like Devin White. Once again, shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to the Super Bowl champs. They were able to destroy Patrick Mahomes. Now I'm seeing Patrick Mahomes with sound bites saying that, hey, his team didn't play well and, things of that nature, which is kind of silly to me because when it's going well, it's going well. So moving forward, Patrick Mahomes will have to take you got to take the heat. If you take the wins and say you're an MVP, your Super Bowl MVP, blah, 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 you got to be able to take that responsibility when your team loses, right? It goes both ways. Yeah, enough about the Super Bowl. Let's get into some NBA. The NBA is on and popping, and I'm excited for this season. Believe it or not, being a Lakers fan is kind of good to see my team out there doing what they do. LeBron James, he's the MVP right now. Question to you guys that are listening: you guys believe that LeBron James is the MVP this season? So let me know. We can talk about it. We can debate that. I'll put that in the description as a special question. Is LeBron James the MVP this season? I know the Lakers have not looked good the last, let's say, 6 games. The games have been kind of close. They're not winning. And, Laker fans are panicking right now. And it's, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because when the Lakers are good, you have the fans that are saying, oh, the Lakers are going to the championship. The Lakers are going to win it all and this and that. But when the Lakers start to lose, you start to see how the fans will flip on this franchise. It's just crazy. I'm enjoying being a Lakers fan, and I'm in all these different chats and different groups, and the fans just always have me rolling. I want to pull up the schedule real quick. I want to pull up the schedule, kind of break down, what's going on for this team and where they go from, where do they go from here. But in general, man, you got to give a shout out to the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz are playing some of the most inspired basketball that I've seen in a long time. I don't know how many wins. Is it like 17 wins in 18 games or some kind of crazy stat like that? They've been winning a lot of games. So I'm going to share back my screen. For those that are watching on YouTube, you guys get the treat because you get to see my visuals. But for those that are listening on the podcast, just imagine, just imagine the visual. Okay, so we look at the Eastern Conference. Before I get to Utah Jazz, the number one team in the NBA right now in the East is the Philadelphia 76ers. If you guys remember my last episode, I said 76ers are going to be the team to beat this year in the East. And when I first said it, a lot of people went crazy. A lot of guys did not believe me. I have a bet with SAC experts that the Philadelphia 76ers will go further than the Brooklyn Nets. So Joel Embiid playing magnificent ball right now. He's an MVP candidate right now. He's MVP talent, MVP candidate right now. And you got Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Bucs. They're look, they are balling right now. Even though their record says 16-9, even though they've not been as consistent as they were last season, but when you look at it, in the last 10 games, they've won 7 out of the last 10 games. The Bucs are still going to be a very good team. They're still going to be a tough out. I think adding Drew Holiday to that squad, adding Forbes to that squad, DiVincenzo's taking another step. Bobby Portis, that was a very good pickup that they made in the offseason. He's out there anchoring that bench. I think the Bucs has what it takes to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, whether they beat the 76ers or not, because I have the Sixers going to the championship. Now, whether that happens or not, we'll see. The Brooklyn Nets right now are 15-12, but they're third in the East. It just kind of shows you how weak the East is or how close the East is. It's kind of crazy because with all the games that the Nets are losing in the last 10 games, they've lost 4. Kevin Durant being tested during the game, telling him to come out, that you can't play. That's kind of crazy. So the NBA is trying to get a hold on this coronavirus thing, but we'll see what happens with that. You got the Boston Celtics at number 4. They're the wild card team. I had them penciled in as a top 4 team this season. I didn't have the Nets in as a top 4 because at the time, the Harden trade hasn't gone through. But also, the Brooklyn Nets defense kind of scares me. So I never really had the Brooklyn Nets in my top 4. Now, a team that I had in my top 4 was Miami, but you see where they are. They're 10-14 right now. And my surprise teams this year have been the New York Knicks, Atlanta Hawks, and the Charlotte Hornets. And all 3 teams are all on the cusp of trying to make this interesting in the East. So going to the West, you have the Utah Jazz. In the last 10 games, they're 9-1. That's magnificent. They continue to win. They're 20-5 with a half-game lead on the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to be matching up against each other coming up this year, so that's going to be interesting. You got the LA Clippers in at third at 18 and 18-8. You have the Phoenix Suns at 15-9. You got the Denver Nuggets at the 7th seed right now. You got the Golden State Warriors at the 8th seed, which is a team that I felt that could or should possibly make the playoffs. So there they are. You got the San Antonio Spurs, who are surprised right now at the 6th seed. You got Portland, who can be in or out of the playoffs. You got Dallas, who's not even in the playoffs right now. And I believe this season they're going to have a 9th seed play-in game again this season. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. You got the Memphis Grizzlies on the cusp trying to make the playoffs. You got the Sacramento Kings, Tyrese Halliburton, magnificent pickup. The kid can play. The kid can shoot. His jump shot is a little weird, but the guy gets it done. But at the same time, the NBA is some of the fun games that I've been seeing this year have been just awesome. Like NBA is fun this year. I'm not gonna lie. You have the Rockets, even though they're 11-13, they're still competitive. If you look at the West, everybody is competitive except of Minnesota. Minnesota's out of it. Surprise teams in the East. Why are the Wizards as bad as they are? Why are the Wizards a 6-16 team with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal? My prediction is that Bradley Beal is gone after this season. I don't know where he goes, but I don't see Bradley Beal returning. As a guy who loves the Wizards and supports the Wizards, my second team. Look, at this point, it's time to free Bradley Beal. It's time to let Bradley Beal do what Bradley Beal did. But guys, this right here was a short episode. It was more so of an intro of the logo, more so reintroducing myself. Once again, this is your guy Manny with Talking Sports with Manny. Hey, be sure to follow me on Twitter and IG at TS with Manny. Be sure to, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, notifications. I have more content coming out. I'll be doing some NFL stuff. I'll be analyzing some players. I think I have a video for Allen Robinson coming up on YouTube. So, guys have a blessed one. Y'all stay safe.